Hey there, Dan Martella here, serial entrepreneur, investor, and creator of SaaS Academy. In this video, I'm going to teach you I'm going to talk about how to overcome them, the 3 top sales objections that are coming up in your SaaS demo and how to overcome them and deal with them and add a little ninjutsu to the process to keep the conversation flowing and get that resolved. And be sure to stay at the end where I share with you how to get my Rocket Demo Builder process. Essentially, I'm going to cover the 5 principles you need to be including in your sales demos, including the 9-box model flow of the call and the conversation to be able to convert twice as many customers and not do a crappy, what I call a product demo tour. So over the last 20 years, I've sold millions of dollars in software myself. I started off as a programmer. I wrote code. I was introverted. I stayed up till 3 in the morning writing software. That's what I did for several years. And I decided I needed to learn how to communicate. Like literally at the end of the day, I was trying to build businesses and I kept failing. Build another business, I kept failing. Then I bought a book, a little red book of selling by Jeffrey Gitomer, and I was like, oh, there's a process. Oh, it's not super shady and schemy and doesn't feel icky. And oh, it's about servicing and adding value and helping people, get results and all these other things. And I just kept going on that process to the point where, recently my last company, Clarity.fm, I was selling annual packages so Clarity was a marketplace for entrepreneurs to get advice over the phone from other entrepreneurs and experts. And I was pre-selling annual contracts with VC firms and other corporations to give access to their portfolio companies or their people. And in that conversation, I had to deal with these exact same objections. I'm just going to share my perspective on how I took what I was hearing and then I kind of reversed it on them to just make sure that I was hearing things right. At the end of the day, I wasn't trying to, twist somebody's arm or do hard sales pressure. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding things properly, and they were as well. So here they are. 1, price. If somebody says, ooh, that's expensive, or oh, that's more than I thought, or blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, it's probably a problem in your positioning. There's something where the way you presented the solution, the customers you served, the value that delivers, and the language you use, it didn't resonate properly. So it's either in the positioning or it's in the connecting with value. To me, the way I think about price is that if I can really connect with their pain and have them quantify it, talk about the cost, both personally from a time point of view and a monetary point of view, understand that and really get clear of stretching that gap of what it is you want versus where you're at, and then talk about the specific things in my product that help them solve those problems and the benefits they'll receive, monetary, time point of view, productivity, peace of mind, and connect that to them. That's the value connection. It's right in the middle between the frustrations they're experiencing and the challenges they want to overcome and how painful and costly that is, and the opportunity to have those resolved and the benefits and the wins that they'll get. So if you haven't done that properly in the conversation, then that's why price comes up. And the way to deal with that objection is to go back and say, well, let me just go back to, you mentioned that this is a challenge. Because what you probably forgot to do is quantify that. I can't tell you how many people are like, so what are some of the frustrations you're dealing with? Well, I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with that, I'm dealing with that. Perfect. Then they go, well, how would you like to see the organization operate, or whatever problem they have? And then they talk about it. They didn't say, oh, that's fascinating. So tell me more about this, and how does that show up, and who do you interact with, and what does that cost them from a time commitment point of view? If you don't push on that button, then you have to go back and do it again just to make sure that they see the value from where they're at today to what they could be from an operational point of view using your solution. You need to make sure that they see that value and you didn't forget to do that. Number 2, missing feature. Now this is an easy one, and even if it's for people, look, sometimes they don't want to buy your software. But at the end of the day, if they're like, hey, I love this solution, but it doesn't integrate with Salesforce, unfortunately it's not for me. Here's what I say, totally get where you're coming from, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. So you always want to acknowledge their challenge or their frustration or why they're not going to move forward, and say, if you don't mind, can we just dig a little deeper around that? How does that process work, right? So you want to dig into the specific pain or missing feature they're talking about. Who's involved in that? How would you like to see it work? So if the information could flow over, who would be involved in that process and what information would translate? And what you're trying to do is figure out if there's a workaround. So they say missing feature, you acknowledge it. I understand what you're saying. Let's dig deeper on that. So the pain is this. Here's why it would be great to have it solved. Great. Look at opportunities to potentially solve it, and then offer them up. If we did this, this, and this, would that solve it? In today's world, just so you know, tools like Zapier makes it ridiculously easier to connect solutions. So integrations, for the most part, are they're kind of a moot point if you can explain to the customers. Most of your calls, they probably don't realize there's other ways to connect and configure solutions. And you might know of some dashboard tools that you can just kind of plug and play and configure. And whatever it is, your job is to solve their problems, not get stuck on a feature. So if they say there's a missing feature, acknowledge it, understand, go deeper, and then look for workarounds to make that happen. Number 3, not a now thing. So the worst you can do is go through a discovery call, do a Rocket demo call, and get the customer all excited, and then they say, let me get back to you, and then you follow up and they don't reply, you follow up, they don't reply, and all of a sudden they say, hey Dan, hey John, hey Mark, hey Mary, it's not a now thing. And you're just like, oh, what, I thought we got all this thing figured out. Maybe use BANT, budget authority, timing, need, and you're like, what went wrong? The way I think about it is I'm always asking myself, did I get the wrong customer? Because at the end of the day, if you do a great ICP, an ideal customer profile, then that will take care of a lot of the noise in your sales pipeline. So did I talk to the wrong customer? 2, did I miss pitching to the prospect's priorities? Did I miss talking to when I ask them, it's like, they mentioned their challenges. Did I ask if it's a now thing? Is this a challenge that you want to resolve today? When is this a priority? If I don't nail that and make sure that they commit to it, then it's easy for them to say that. But if I get the commitment, then they've said it, so then they can't use that objection. It might be a real thing, but many times people just use that as a potential objection. And that leads to the third thing is they're masking a real concern. There's probably something else in the product that they're not telling you about, or you misunderstood something, you didn't go deep enough, and they're using this as an excuse. But if you master the sales process and really uncover the customer's challenges and present a compelling solution in a way that gets them excited and talk about some of the case studies and customers you've served in the past and got them results, then they will buy and they won't use it's not a now thing. So always really try to go deeper and ask yourself, is it the right customer? Yes. Okay. Did I pitch to their priorities? No. Okay, maybe I got to try that again. Or 3, are they masking a real concern? So you could just say, hey, John, I really appreciate you sharing that with me. Usually at this point, I've learned from past customers that some of them are having an issue around these other areas, and it might just mean that it's easier to put things off than to address them today. Is that potentially the case in this scenario? Something like that, to essentially say, look, I get that, it's not a now thing, but maybe it's because these things aren't resolved. Can we talk about that? Do you have a few minutes to jump on a quick call just so that I can better understand how to present my solution in the future and really figure out what it is that, that's missing for this to be a priority? And that, to me, is the best way to deal with the third objection of not a now thing. So really quick recap to deal with the top 3 objections in your SaaS demos. Number 1, price. Make sure you reconnect on value. 2, missing feature. Go deep, figure out how they'd like to solve it and look for a workaround. And 3, not a now thing. Make sure you're dealing with the right customer. You've pitched their priorities and they're not masking their real concerns. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I want to share with you a resource called the Rocket Demo Builder. In it, I share the 5 key principles of having an incredible demo and the 9-box model that you can use to close more deals, essentially the call flow. The link's below. You can download your copy, and if you like this video, click the like button. Be sure to share it with somebody that you think it could serve, and also subscribe to my channel. As per usual, I want to challenge you to live a bigger life and a bigger business, and I'll see you next Monday. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.